Everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, this last weekend was the 2021 NFL Draft, and so I thought it would be fun to do a quick little video to discuss all the draft picks that my team, the Indianapolis Colts, took with their selections. And for better or for worse, I thought we'd go over their selections and let you know what I think about them. So let's get into what they did during this draft and whether or not they addressed some of their needs. Now, I did a video a little over a week ago about what I'd like to see the Colts do. And so let's get into what they did, and this is over here on the Indianapolis Colts website. Obviously, they went through every single selection, so we're going to go through those one at a time from the first round all the way through the 7th round. And with the first pick in the NFL Draft at pick 21, the Colts took defensive end Kwity Paye out of Michigan. Now, one of the things that I thought that the Colts definitely needed to address was the edge rusher position. I felt that the Colts, their biggest need, obviously, was left tackle. Anthony Costanzo just recently retired, and we need someone to shore up that left side of the offensive line and protect Carson Wentz's blind side, especially with Carson Wentz's injury risk history. So that was one of the first big priorities I wanted the Colts to address. Well, that did not happen. Shows what I know. Like I said, I'm not the general manager, but I also said in my video that I wanted to see them address receiver, edge rusher, and maybe shore up the secondary a little bit. So in those regards, they addressed some of those needs, as we'll get into. But I will say off the bat, I was a little disappointed that the Colts did not go left tackle either in the first or second round. They did address the position, but we'll get into that when we get to that pick. But as for the first pick in the first round, I thought Kwity Paye is definitely a position that we needed to bolster, and I think as a player, this kid is going to be a beast. So if we can get him working with DeForest Buckner and rushing the passer, I think our defensive line is going to be that much more formidable. And in this case, the idea going into the draft was that offensive tackle was deep and edge rusher was not as deep. So I understand why the Colts would go for the defensive end here. So that makes a lot of sense. I guess they were probably hoping to get some offensive linemen maybe in the second round, but a lot of them went in the draft before it got to the Colts' second pick. So that could have been the mentality. And if that's the case, the Colts gambled and maybe didn't win in that regard. But we'll see what happens. I have a tendency to trust Chris Ballard as opposed to our former GM Ryan Grigson. So I think that in this case, the Colts did a good job with edge rusher. So that moves on to the second pick in the second round. That was Dayo Odeyingbo. I'm assuming I'm saying that right, out of Vanderbilt. Another edge rusher. So again, going into the draft, I thought edge rusher was a place that needed to be fixed, and I thought that we needed to get our Freeney and Mathis going again. We've been missing that since those two retired. And like I said, with DeForest Buckner in the middle and some of our defensive linemen up in the middle have been pretty good. But our edge rusher position has been a little bit suspect. So this pick here and the Kwity Paye pick obviously addresses those needs. And if that's the case and they turn out to be good, great. So again, addressing a need that we do have, and I hope that it will turn out. Like I said, we gave up a little bit and did not get the offensive tackle spot. We went more defense, but our defensive picks in the draft lately have been pretty good when it comes to Bobby Okereke, Darius Leonard, Julian Blackmon, and guys like that. So again, I trust Chris Ballard here, so we'll see how this goes. I have high hopes for these two edge rushers here. In the fourth round, since we did not have a third round pick, since we traded that pick to Philadelphia for Carson Wentz, they go tight end, and they get Kylan Granson out of Southern Methodist. The kid's got good size, and from what I've seen of him on video, he's got good hands and good speed as well. I will admit, going into this draft, I did not think tight end was a position we were going to address. However, I did not know until today, actually, that we let Trey Burton go. I thought we still had Trey Burton, so I apologize for mentioning that in my video. I don't know when they let him go even. It just kind of came out of the blue for me. So in that case, I understand them going to get another tight end here. We obviously still have Jack Doyle, and we just re-signed Mo Alley-Cox on his restricted free agent deal. So they shored up the tight end position in case we didn't get Mo Alley-Cox back. So I understand the move a little more now than I did before. Again, when I saw this, I thought, why aren't you going offensive tackle? But again, in this case, it makes a little more sense once you know a little bit of what the Colts were doing. So in that regard, I understand the pick a little bit more. Our next pick, we had round 5, we went safety. Again, I said that maybe we should shore up the the secondary a little bit, and I feel like they've done that a little bit. Of course, we got Julia Blackman, a few other guys back there that have been pretty solid. But now we got Sean Davis out of Florida. So again, I'm glad they shored up a position they need. It sounds like something that they definitely wanted to get some depth at, and I'm glad they did that. So I'm sure the kid hopefully will be pretty good, and we'll see how that goes too. Again, I'm one of those people when it comes to the draft that I don't follow a lot of college football. But I always look to see if the team addresses the needs that they are looking to shore up. And I think in this case, the Colts did a pretty good job in that regard. So, and we'll see. And I'm usually just one of those guys who like a wait and see approach when it comes to the actual kids we draft, to see how they do during the season and things like that, to see if the picks were actually really good or not. But when it comes to, I trust the scouts and I trust the general manager and, the people who look over the talent to make the right picks. So in this case, we'll see how that goes. But again, short up a position we need. Moving on, we got into the 6th round and the Colts go quarterback, which is interesting to me. Clearly, we lost Jacoby Brissett in the offseason, and so we have no backup spot outside of Jacob Eason, who we did draft last year. But I don't know exactly where the Colts stand on Jacob Eason. So looks like Sam Ehlinger, I think that's how you pronounce that, quarterback out of Texas. I've heard this kid's actually not that bad. I've heard he's pretty decent. So again, I don't know the talent personally, but all the highlights, of course, all highlights look good. Everybody's highlights look great. They never show you the lowlights sometimes, But this kid probably will be backing up Carson Wentz along with Jacob Eason. That's my assumption. But we don't know. Like I said, we didn't get to see Jacob Eason last year. There was no preseason, and hopefully we'll get to see him and Sam Ehlinger in the preseason this year. And obviously with Carson Wentz being a bit of an injury risk, it is a good idea to have multiple quarterbacks backing them up. Now, they're both young, but they both look rather talented. So if something were to happen to Wentz, let's hope that don't happen. But maybe we'll strike gold with one of these two kids, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm happy to see the culture at least looking toward the future a little bit, because obviously Wentz is still pretty young. If he could stay healthy, that could be the guy we go with. But if not, it's good to see them actually looking at this position just in case we might need it. So, but moving on, we'll go into what I believe now is the last round of the draft. Round 7, we get a big wide receiver. Mike Strachan? I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce that. Again, I'm not a big college football guy, but he comes out of Charleston. Again, a position I thought the Colts needed was definitely wide receiver. I always wanted to see a bigger receiver. Of course, we've been drafting receivers the last few years. I mean, we got Paris Campbell, which he's more of a speedy guy, but again, another guy who needs to stay healthy. But I thought Michael Pittman last year was a good pick, and I hope that he will continue to progress in his second year. He did real well with Phillip Rivers, especially toward the latter half of the season. He got a little bit more chemistry going there. And of course, we still have T.Y. Hilton, so that's a plus. And we've got a few other guys like Zach Pascal, I believe, is still there, and we got a few others that could catch the ball well. They just got to get some chemistry. But I felt like we were lacking a little bit of receiver coming into this draft, so it's nice to see they at least address the position. I'm not so sure, 7th rounders sometimes don't always pan out. I usually look at people after round 4, sometimes don't usually pan out, but especially when it comes to the quarterback and Sam Ehlinger. I remember another 6th round quarterback that ended up becoming the greatest of all time, and Tom Brady, supposedly. So, never say never, right? Some of these guys could turn out to be gold, diamonds in the rough that you find later in the draft, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But moving on to the last pick, which is the one I kind of want to talk about a little bit. They finally go offensive lineman with guard Will Fries out of Pitt State. Again, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but all these rounds I wanted to see him go offensive tackle, and they finally address the offensive line. And this kid has played left tackle and other positions on the line in college, so he does have the ability to play left tackle. So they finally addressed the need, but it's really, really late in the draft. A lot of the times, really late in the draft, I don't necessarily look at it as they're going to be starting material week 1, their rookie year. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know what the Colts' plan is for the left tackle spot at Carson Wentz's blind side. But it needs to be addressed. They may have another plan up their sleeve. I know Eric Fisher's still out there for the Chiefs. I know he's coming off an Achilles injury, and he may not be ready to go, or even if he is, he may still re-sign with Kansas City. So I don't know exactly what their plan is on the offensive line. The rest of the line is pretty solid. The left tackle spot obviously is the concern for many Colts fans. But it is nice to see that they at least addressed it with an offensive lineman here late in the draft. And like we said, the Colts obviously felt that the offensive tackle position was very deep this year, and it was, according to most draft analysts. So in this case, maybe they struck gold a little late, and they just decided to play their cards right with other positions that were a little thinner, and maybe this kid will be really good. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, I feel like Chris Ballard has done a good job in recent years of drafting kids, and they've turned out to be pretty good players. So I have faith in him and his decision making, and we'll see where they go. I think this was a pretty solid draft. I wouldn't call it the Colts' best draft they ever had, but in regards to team needs and position needs, I feel like they did address those situations, and I hope that everything will turn out well, and I hope we get to a Super Bowl sooner rather than later. We'll see how that goes. But what do you guys think about the Indianapolis Colts 2021 NFL draft selections? Comment down below, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell on my YouTube channel so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content on my channel. And until my next video, guys, take care.
We about to turn it on.